Hello there, it's Monica. Thank you for clicking in and welcome. So I am doing my brows today. I think it's a little unusual how I do my brows, but I figured I would just do it on camera because it is due. So let me just bring you in a little so you can see what I'm doing. So they don't look that bad. They've definitely gotten a lot worse than this in the past. So well, first of all, before I get started, I want to tell you that my brows are very straight and they're very, you can kind of tell, you see how these are kind of falling, like they fall, they like point down very easily. And so like when I furrow my brow, they get like, they point out and things. And so it's taken me a while to figure out what works for my brows, and it's a little drastic, but it really works for me. So first thing I do, I use one of these. This is just an old, like, I don't know, probably facial hair trimmer. And I always keep the number 3 guard on it. And that's just what I always use. I leave that on there and I just trim my brows like that. But the reason I do this is because I used to just use these little scissors to kind of, you know how like when you, or maybe you do your brows yourself, when you go get your brows done, you know, they go and they trim, and then they trim here, and you know, whatever, however they want to trim your brows. Well, for me, no matter how much I trimmed, my brows just always fell, and like there were some that were like, I don't know, they just weren't even, and sometimes like it would look good, but when I noticed when I'd move my brows around, like some of them were a little too long. So I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do something and cut them all the same length and then take it from there. So I'm very brave, I know. So this is what I do. Look away if you're faint of heart. So that's all I do. So that's what I do. And I love it because it just has them all the same length. It just cuts them all the same length, and it works for me. So you can kind of see the before and after here. And right here it doesn't look bad, but if I let them grow any more, they get really hangy. But here I think it just gets them really nice and clean, and they're not hanging, they're not poking out, because whatever direction my eyebrow hair is growing, like it just sticks straight out in that direction. So doing this, I feel like it just kind of calms them down a little, or is the best way to groom them, really, for me. So yeah, so there's one. And it doesn't look crazy. I mean, I could go out and my eyebrows don't look crazy. No one would know. And it doesn't look that much lighter than this one. So it's not getting down too far down close to the skin. So now the next one, and I always look to make sure that the guard is on because it can fall off. And I really don't want to shave my entire eyebrow off, so turn it on. And that's it. So that's all the trimming I need to do for the most part. Sometimes I'll go back in when I'm all done and use the scissors. So that's the first thing I do. So that gets them kind of nice and prepped to see exactly what I want to pluck. So now I'm just going to I'm going to kind of map out where what I want to pluck. So I'm going to use this just nude pencil from Rimmel. I think it's called the Scandalize. But it doesn't really matter what nude pencil. I'm just using the first one I grabbed. So what I usually do is I go to the rounded part of my nose, or the tip of my nose. I put it right up against there and I point it straight up and I make a line there. Whether there's hair there or not, I just make the line. On this side, I also do the same thing. Go straight up and I make a line there. And then I go from the tip of my nostril to the corner of my eye. I go to the end of my brow, make a line there. So now, and then now I go to the tip of my nose. I go back to the tip of my nose and then go straight. My pencil is lining up with the very middle of my eye. And then I do a line there. So that will be the highest point of my brow. And then over here, so just again, tip of the nose, line, tip of the nostril through the middle of the eye, arch, line for the arch, tip of the nostril to the outer corner of the eye, tail. Same thing over here. Tip of the nose, tip of the nostril through the middle of the eye, that'd be the arch, tip of the nostril, outer corner of the eye, and that's the tail. So then, now what I do is I connect them. So for this, I just eyeball it. Basically what I like to do is go right about there, and I go straight. You can hardly see the line, but I'll draw it a little darker for you. And up top as well, straight line. I'm drawing a straight line just to that arch line that I want to do. I know very well how I want, how I like to have my brows, so drawing the lines is very easy for me. I can just kind of eyeball like how wide I want the section that I want to keep. And so that's very easy for me. Okay, so there's a rough sketch of what I'm gonna pluck. And I obviously know very well the anatomy of my face. So I know that if I leave my brows lower than this line, I know that it's gonna be very heavy, and I know that my eyebrow bone kind of protrudes a little bit out and down a little bit. So I know that I want to kind of cut right in between that bone, with that line to kind of split that space. Yeah, because as you can see, I have naturally hooded eyes, always have. So I don't want to add to that heaviness. And then the top, I don't pluck very much on the top, so I just know that the top, I'm not going to really do much to. But I still put the line there because it just helps to see if everything's balanced as I'm doing the work. And then as far as the tail, with the tail, I just pretty much go with my natural brow, because I think most of us have a thick section of the brow. That's our main brow. And then it kind of like dwindles off a little bit. Like there's just kind of more spaced out brow hairs, you know, the further away we go from the brow. So the chunk of my brow, I like the shape of it with in the tail. Right here in the front, it's too heavy, so I really need to cut it down because I think naturally my brow would come down to here about. Not solid, but like it would be down to there, and that's just too heavy for this part as far as I'm concerned. I'm sure some people can pull that off, but and I've had it like that at times, but I just feel like, I don't know, I guess I just changed my style. But anyway, but for the tail, for the most part, I kind of go with its natural kind of taper and shape. So yeah, so I hope that kind of helps as to how I kind of got my shape, my reasoning behind how I do the shape or the drawing of the lines. Because I know that there isn't an exact way to say, well, draw your line from this freckle to that freckle. You know, like we can to do the first 3 lines that I did, you know, because you're using the anatomy of your eye, you know. But as far as for the thickness, there isn't really any anatomy to refer to when you're doing that. So it's kind of like you're on your own in a way. So I'm trying to explain my reasoning, seeing if maybe that will help you as well. So anyway, so that's done. So now what I'm going to do is go ahead and start plucking my brows. And I am using the Tweezerman tweezers, and they work fantastically. Usually what I like to do is start with the top. So I know that this camera isn't the best to pick up the tiniest detail, but I'm hoping that in general you can kind of see what I'm doing. So what I'm going to do is first I start with the top here. I don't always start like this, but just for the purpose of this video, that's where I'm going to start, and I'm going to try to be consistent with the other. And I'm going to start by plucking just the hairs on the outside of this line, none on the inside or on the none on the line itself or on the inside, of course, just on the outside. So this is the outside, this is the line itself, and then there's the inside, of course, that I don't want to pluck, right? So I'm going to start with the outside of the line. And just clean that up a little bit. There's not much to pluck there because I don't really have that much eyebrow up there, but the little bit I do have, I like to kind of take care of. Okay, and then over here, there isn't much on the outside of the line right here, so I'm going to leave that there for now because the whole thing is not to over pluck, right? Let me see if I push you out a little bit, if it's better. I don't think so. Okay, so hopefully this will be helpful for you guys. Okay, so now I'm just going to go ahead and pluck all the stuff that's furthest. And I'm staying outside of the line, nothing on the line or inside the line, of course. It's interesting before I used this drawing the lines, I never really realized how helpful it can be. And even now, whenever right before I do my brows, I just think about like, oh, should I do the line thing? And every time I do, I think, yes, I need to do the line thing. It's so helpful. Because you just don't know how helpful it is until you actually do it and use it as a guide. It just really keeps you from doing, from going overboard. And I do use a nude pencil. I do recommend using a nude pencil if you decide to do this, because you can still see your brows. So even if you like draw over them, you can still see your brows, because assuming you have dark brows, dark eyebrow hair, it'll peek through so you can see what's there, even though you've drawn a line through it. I'm going to go ahead and push this line up a little bit because I'm thinking I need to pluck a little bit right in there. And I know that because I don't want my eyebrows to be like super pointy right there, even though the line is pointy. I kind of want to soften it up or lift it up a little bit, you know. Okay, so now I'm going to do between my brows, staying again outside of those lines. I feel so good after I do my brows. I feel really put together, you know? It's kind of like when you do I don't know, do your manicure, pedicure, you just feel like really put together. Okay. Every time I do a video of something that I can't like redo, like plucking my brows, or the last video I did, the unboxing video, for at least once throughout the video, I have like a tiny panic, and I look at the timer to make sure I'm recording, because I always think like that would really suck if I didn't press record and I already started, because you can't go back. I can't grow my brows real fast for you. Okay, so that's pretty good. So I just take one last look and make sure they're looking pretty good. So that's I think the biggest part. Let's see. All right, so now I'm going to take a makeup wipe and remove the lines. I'm just taking a makeup remover cleansing towelette from Neutrogena, and then I'm just going to remove this. These makeup wipes, by the way, smell so good. I don't know what they smell like, but they smell, I don't know, they smell good. They're not perfumey, they're not planty. I don't know, they just smell good. Okay, so there's that. I'm gonna look at them again, see what that looks like, see if there's anything that's sticking out that needs to get plucked. No. But I do see something that needs a trim. This tail over here needs a, I don't know if you can even see it. Yeah, you can kind of see how there's like a long hair right there. And over here, everything's just kind of short. So I'm just gonna trim that one. And unless there's something really obvious, like out of line, I just kind of leave it, because I don't want to over pluck them. And that can be really hard to resist. So now what I'm gonna do is just to really clean up anything that I might have missed, any baby hairs or anything. I'm gonna go ahead and do a quick shave around. So I'm gonna use some bile oil, and I'm just gonna use that so the razor has some slip to it. so it doesn't, you know, I think it's less likely to cut my skin if there's some sort of, you know, kind of lubricant. Yeah, you can buy these. I've gotten these at Target before. I don't see a brand name or anything, and I don't have the pack with me. I left it in my bathroom. But, you know, it's a standard face razor. And it's the small ones. I find that it fits really nicely right in between my brows. So what I do is I just go straight down my brow. And I do small strokes. And just take your time. It also fits perfectly between my brow and my hairline, so I also do right in there. And then I just keep some paper on the side to just kind of wipe off the oil and the hair that's coming off. It's funny, I think a lot of people use these when they're like in a hurry, when they don't have time to pluck their brow. But I usually use these when I have time to do my brows because I feel like I really need to take my time. But okay, so that looks good to me. I'm just gonna wipe off the excess oil. And then I think I see one straggler that's bothering me. Yep. Yep. Okay, so now I'm gonna actually fill in my brows so you can see what it looks like, what they look like. And I'm using by Maybelline Brow Define and Fill Duo by Eye Studio, I guess, in deep brown. And it's got the pencil on one side and it's got the powder on the other, but I don't really use the powder, which is too bad because that's kind of what's cool about this pencil, that it's like got the powder on one end. Oops. See that? But I just haven't gotten into. I've tried using it and I can't really get into it. And so now again the same thing, how I drew my line for my guide, I do when I do my brows. The tip of my nose, and I do lightly, tip of my nose, and as you can see, this one doesn't have as much hair in that same exact spot, so I like to do that so I know which one's short, so I can make up for that. So then I do that, and then I draw a line on the bottom. And then I go in with a spoolie, and I use the Sonia Kashuk spoolie. I'm going to try to soften that line up a little. And one brow is always darker than the other. I think this is the darker brow, so I have to kind of add a little bit more color to this brow. I think I look funny just with my brows on and no makeup on. Usually when I do my makeup, my brows are close to the last thing I do, actually, never the first thing. What do you think? I think that came out good, actually. I'm not going to mess with them too much. But anyway, so I just wanted to give you an idea of maybe some new ideas of how to do your brows. I don't know. Or maybe this is nothing new. So, but anyway, I've been doing my brows like that for a while, although this product that I really like the color of this product because I was using a Maybelline, like a felt tip brow pen that I was filling them in, and I like the idea of doing like the tip of it being, you know, very fine and doing kind of the hair-like strokes with it, which was really nice. But I felt that the brown was too warm for me. I like more on the ashy side or the cool side, and that's what this is. This is more of a cool brown for me, so I really like that. So yeah, I think they came out good, actually. I'm glad they came out good for this video especially, but for always. All right, so that's it. That's all I got for you today. I hope that was helpful. Thank you so much for watching. I don't think I'll do a video before Christmas, so Merry Christmas to all of you who celebrate Christmas. Happy holidays to those of you who don't, and I hope you have a Merry Christmas, and if I don't see you for New Year's, Happy New Year. Have a great one. I wish you lots of happiness, all of the best that life has to offer, and lots of love, and an even better New Year than 2015 was. So thank you so much for watching. Remember to rate and subscribe if you haven't already. If you leave a comment, tell me where you're from. I'd love to know where you live. I live here in California. No specifics though. I don't need to know your address. Yeah, so thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Love you guys. Bye.